Peterson.
Jordan Peterson, everybody.
Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson.
Welcome back, Mr. Peterson.
The Canadian psychology professor is somebody people love or love to hate.
Despite what you think about him, there is no denying the professor's impact.
He's undeniably one of the greatest intellectual phenomenons on the planet right now.
Now, Dr. Jordan Peterson has received a lot of attention online. First for his best-selling book, 12 Rules for Life, his follow-up Beyond Order, and then in the more recent years, he's gotten into some politics. And that has garnered him some avid fans and supporters, and that has also garnered him a lot of internet enemies and disdain. He's been on Joe Rogan, Lex Friedman, Andrew Huberman's podcast, Modern Wisdom. He's been on all sorts of podcasts. His books have sold millions of copies. And he recently came out with his newest book, We Who Wrestle with God. I have never read anything by Jordan Peterson. He's appeared on a few of the podcasts I've listened to, and he's had some good things to say, had some bad things to say. But I've never read 12 Rules for Life or Beyond Order. And so I was curious to see what this book would be like, because Peterson started kind of one of his claim to fame before he became, some controversial figure. Part of his claim to fame was his lectures online about Genesis. That was one of the things that kind of pushed him into the public view. And so I was interested to see what this book would be like. And I knew, because of the fact that it was Peterson, there would be a lot of people who just absolutely loved the book and a lot of people who despised it just by his name alone. But because of the fact that I've never read any of Peterson, because of the fact that I really, it's not my realm, politics and stuff is not my realm, I just wanted to see this book in and of itself. And so I think the first thing that we should do is listen to Jordan Peterson. And here's a clip of what Peterson described this book as and why he kind of wrote it.
Why did I write We Who Wrestle with God? To awaken people to their conscience, to alert them to their calling, to explain to all who read, watch, and listen the meaning of the sacrifice that constitutes work itself, to invite them to the divine banquet, to slay the demons of pride, power, and hedonism, to invigorate the damaged spirit of the West. The revolution of tradition begins. Dare to wrestle with God.
So first off, I would like to mention the fact that this book really does not have too much politics. It's over 500 pages, so obviously he touches on a few political subjects, but refreshingly, and I'm very grateful for the fact, he kind of stayed out of politics. There's a lot of intellectuals in modernity who, once they get famous, they jump into political debates and it kind of ruins their work. Luckily though, Peterson kind of avoided politics in this book, which I found really refreshing because I didn't really want to read a political book. So that's my first thing. There's not too many political things in here. There are some, but he really does support his political arguments in this book, the few that there are, with logic, and so it's kind of hard to argue with. Secondly, this book is not a literal interpretation of the biblical corpus, because the book is supposed to be an analysis of the biblical accounts. It's supposed to be Adam and Eve through through Jonah. My mistake. It's supposed to be through Jonah. And what Peterson is kind of doing is he's analyzing the psychological and mythological significance of these stories. One of the things that Peterson's fans have been upset with is the fact that he doesn't really take a stance on religion. There's a clip of him on Alex O'Connor's podcast in which he said the following.
That's a strange
I know you don't
thing.
like that. Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
If I went back in time with a Panasonic video camera and put that camera in front of the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea, would the little LCD screen show a man walk out of that tomb?
I would suspect yes.
But a lot of people don't really know where Peterson stands. And this book really won't help you with that. Peterson does not give necessarily his concrete beliefs, although he does make a very compelling account for a higher good. The book was interesting. It was a call to adventure, and seeing the mythological and psychological significance of the Old Testament stories was very fascinating. It really was fascinating because those stories are oftentimes, one, interpreted literally by the church, and two, they're often hard to read. They're very dense, and Peterson does a good job of making them interesting and relevant and talking about archetypes and what everybody stands for. Now, I do have a little criticism of this book. There definitely should have been a little more condensing. If you've listened to anything of Peterson talking, he does weave a lot, he does have a lot of topics he covers, and this book was very much like that. There probably could have been 100 less pages than there was, because a lot of the stuff ended up getting redundant and repetitive, and that was hard to get into at times. But overall, it was good. Without going into too much detail, it really is just an analysis of the mythology and archetypes of the biblical corpus, because the Bible is a library of books, and so Peterson just kind of tries to highlight a few of those stories: Adam and Eve, Tower of Babel, Noah, Jonah, Moses, and he just kind of talks about how they relate to our lives and how we have a call as people to adventure and to responsibility, which is kind of a theme from what I've done in my research for this video of Jordan Peterson's work, just calling us to be responsible and live a life of responsibility and not hedonistic immaturity. So that's kind of my thoughts on Dr. Peterson's newest book. If you want kind of a mythological, sometimes heretical interpretation of biblical stories, and if you want to read Peterson, if you've heard a lot about Peterson, but you don't really want his politics, it seems like his books, from what I've heard and then from this one that I've read, that he stays out of the political foray in his books, which is refreshing. But it was a good book. I would recommend it. I think I gave it on Goodreads 4.1 or 4.2 stars. It was definitely dense, definitely redundant at times, but it was refreshing. And it was good to read a book about faith that didn't approach the same old narrative and the same old monologue that people have grown up hearing about the biblical corpus. So if that's what you're interested in, if you're looking for kind of a mythological, philosophical dive into Jordan Peterson, or into the Bible rather, Jordan Peterson's We Who Wrestle with God would be a decent choice for you. Yeah, so that's kind of my review of Peterson's book. If you want to connect with me, see what's going on in my life, I'm on Instagram at @TheLondonJBaker. I would love to connect and talk with you guys over there. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed hearing about Peterson's book. So again, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want to hear more about books and reading and all of those fun things. So that's what I got for you guys today. Have an awesome, awesome day, and we will talk soon.